Good morning. Welcome to Miss Paula's Place. And this week, I really am in Miss Paula's Place. And today I have a book that is also special to my heart. I just absolutely love the story. And if there's any parents out there listening, I think you will feel warm and fuzzy after you listen to this also. The title of the book is Down the Road. And the author's name is Alice Shertle, and it is illustrated by one of my favorite Michigan illustrators, E.B. Lewis. We have read a couple books this summer and through quarantine that were illustrated by him, and I just will hold the pictures up so you can really see his paintings and his sketches. They're absolutely beautiful. So, are you ready for this adventure? Down the road. Here we go. Hetty lived in a gray house with a big stone chimney and a screen door that squeaked in a friendly way for comings and goings. In back of the house was a tin roof shed and where Papa mended other people's trucks and tractors and cars that weren't running anymore. In front of the house was a dusty road that ran through a field and up a hill and out of sight. Sometimes Hetty walked with Mama down the dusty road, and sometimes she walked with Papa. But Hetty had never ever been allowed down the dusty road all by herself. Well, one afternoon, Mama said, "Mr. Birdie's speckled hens are laying. Wouldn't fresh eggs be nice for tomorrow's breakfast?" She sighed and shook her head. "I just don't have time to walk to Mr. Birdie's house. Too bad." "Scrambled eggs for breakfast," said Papa. "If only I had the time, I'd go myself." "I can do it," said Hetty. "I'm big enough to go to Mr. Birdie's house all by myself." "Well," said Mama. "Well," said Papa, "look at this big girl. Hetty can do it, Mama. Absolutely." So Papa gave Hetty a handful of coins and a great big wicker basket to carry the eggs in. "1 dozen eggs is what I need," said Mama. "Come straight home," said Papa, "and don't dilly-dally." Squeak, bang, went the screen door, and Hetty was on her way. That must have been quite exciting, but a little fearful also, that she was going on this road, dusty road and path, all by herself, that she had never gone alone on before. She marched straight down the dusty road, swinging the basket and jiggling the coins in her pocket. She thought, this is what it's like to be grown up. You have money in your pocket and you can go down the road all by yourself. And she made up some words to a little song. "Down the road, 1 and 2, eggs for breakfast, he who do. Eggs for breakfast, clickety-clack, eggs for breakfast, not a crack." So there she goes. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm taking a walk, I think of a little ditty or a little song to sing and make one up. How about you? Bump went the basket against Hetty's knee. Bump, bump. "When this basket is full of eggs," thought Hetty, "I'll walk my smoothest so they won't roll around and break." So she practiced walking with the basket on her head. She walked so smooth and balanced that wicker basket on her head. She climbed all the way to the top of the hill before the basket fell off. Of course, it's empty yet, right? With the basket over her arm, Hetty raced down the other side of the hill with her pigtails flying. Some of you kids out there, I've seen pigtails on this summer. Well, she felt inside her pocket to make sure the coins were still there. Then she continued down the road, across a stream and through a meadow and past a house or two, down a street, around a corner, and up some steps. Isn't that beautiful? The illustrator did such a nice job on that. And there she is. Looks like she's coming to town. And she was now in the cool shadows of Mr. Birdie's Emporium and dry goods store. Lots of things in there. It's kind of like a mini grocery store, but has lots and lots of different things in it. In small towns, that's what they had for their groceries a long time ago. And people bought fabric, and they bought all kinds of supplies for their house. Well now, said Mr. Birdie, here's Hetty all by herself. Good day, Mr. Birdie, said Hetty, just as Mama would have said very politely. I'd like a dozen eggs, please. 12 big beauties. No cracks, please. While Mr. Birdie put 12 big brown eggs into the wicker basket, Hetty walked slowly down a cluttered aisle, and she looked at the cans and cartons and bolts of fabric just like she would want to buy something. Maybe she's thinking about that's what her mom does. And before she left, she said, "Thank you, Mr. Birdie." Around the corner went Hetty, down the street, past a house or two, doing her smooth walk and holding the basket very carefully so it wouldn't bump against her leg and crack the eggs. And when she came to that stream again, she stopped with one foot on a fallen log. What if it wobbles, she said. What if this log wobbles me off and I drop the eggs? She stepped down into the cold water and she splashed across the stream, straight across to the other side. No use taking a chance, said Hetty. I don't know how many of you have carried eggs, but I've bumped a few and cracked a few myself. Squish, squish went Hetty's wet shoes on the dusty road. Squish, 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 and Hetty said her walking words. Down the road, 1 and 2. Eggs for breakfast, how did he do? Hetty was so busy doing her smooth walk and saying her walking words and admiring the eggs in her basket that she didn't see a rock sticking up in the middle of the road. She walked along, getting closer to the rock with every step. Eggs for breakfast, clickety-clack. Eggs for breakfast, not a ouch! Hetty's toe hit the rock, and she stumbled forward. She had to hop and jump to keep from falling, and inside, the basket of eggs rattled together with tiny clink sounds. Oh, no, said Hetty. She knelt down on the road and took the eggs out of the basket. She was hardly breathing, and she looked at each one. Looking for a crack, isn't she? Whew, she said with a sigh, not a crack. She wiped each egg off her shirt and she put them back inside the basket. Then she was on her way again, this time keeping a sharp eye out for rocks. It seemed like a long road on the way back, and the sun was hot, and by the time she reached the meadow, Hetty was tired. But there in the middle of the meadow was a big wild apple tree with bright red apples. Sweet, juicy, crackly, crisp apples. So she started to think, these are Papa's favorites. They're Mama's too. Hetty herself was very fond of apples, just 3, Hetty thought, and then I'll go straight home. She made her way through the weeds, snagging foxtails in her socks and holding the egg basket carefully in front of her. And she picked an apple for Mama, and she picked one for herself. Now, for a big red apple, a Papa-sized apple, she had to reach up, way up to grab it. And the wicker basket tipped just a little bit. She reached higher, and the basket tipped a little more, and a little more, and a little more. Uh-oh, splat. Hetty wanted to cry. She wanted to hide. She wanted to climb up into the apple tree and never, ever come down. All of the eggs broke. She didn't want to go home and tell Mama and Papa there would be no eggs for breakfast. Up she climbed, right up to the old apple tree, and she sat there, just thinking. Wonder if you have a thinking place of your own. After a long time, Hetty saw something moving. Way down the dusty road, it was Papa. So, he said, this is where I find you. I was picking apples for us, said Hetty, and I broke the eggs, she sobbed. Oh, Papa, I broke every single one of them. Papa's looking way up in the tree. Well, Papa kind of pushed the basket over with his foot, and he said, I see. And you climbed up into the tree to think it over? Suddenly, his face wrinkled into a smile. Well, there's no finer place, Papa said, than an apple tree to think things over. And Papa climbed up, too. By the time Mama had come through the meadow grass, there was a pile of apple cores underneath the tree. Hetty and Papa had chins sticky with apple juice, and Mama nudged the basket, and she noticed there were no eggs in the basket. I'm waiting for 12 eggs for breakfast. I'm sorry, Mama, said Hetty. I dropped the eggs, and I was trying to pick up some apples and fine, sweet apples, and Mama stared up into the tree. Well, she said, just look at those 2 big birds up in that tree. Papa whistled like a magpie. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Pretty soon, there were 3 birds up in that tree. She's thinking 3 birds, and the author is 3 people up in the tree. And Mama put her arm around Hetty. I'd almost forgotten, she said, how lovely the world looks from an apple tree. Everyone should spend some time in an apple tree, Papa said. Absolutely. And when they walked back along home to the dusty road, and they had not 1 egg in their basket. But Mama's skirt and Papa's pockets and Hetty's basket were full of sweet and juicy apples. And the next morning, there was apple pie for breakfast. I hope you enjoyed this story down the road. It's just a very heartwarming story and a great way to look at things when something doesn't go just right, to try to find the good out of it. And I really appreciate Hetty's mom and dad, her Mama and Papa. Have a really wonderful week, my friends, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.